Tea Time True Crime with Katie, and tonight's story is sad like a lot of the ones I cover. Now, if you're watching, you see Bowie on the screen right now. I got him a really cute glow-in-the-dark hoodie. That was from Etsy. I try to always go with small business and merchants. Small town, yes, small business. Isn't he beautiful? It is raining. It's been raining all day today. So we're all in kind of weird emotional moods. I mean, for me, I feel like it is just like a reflecting, refreshing kind of hour. But he just jumped on mommy right when I was recording. So, and if you are listening, thank you so much for listening. And if you're watching, thank you for watching. All right, Bowie, gonna get down now. Gonna talk about some sad stuff. It's okay. Good boy. So tonight's story is pretty incredible. It is also very sad. But you have to remember, when I do these podcasts, I do a lot of research. I see other people's videos. I watch documentaries. I read countless of articles. And for me, I do hate the word victim because, I don't think anyone ever wants to be a victim, But I feel that it is what happened and they need to be remembered. And when I describe a victim, it's, what I'm talking about. I am not trying to be any disrespect or anything like that, because nobody deserves to die, especially not in this way. Now, as I was saying, when I do these research and watch these videos and everything like that, I kind of fall for the person in a way. I have complete empathy for people. And when I don't see certain stories being told in the way they should, I feel like I could do a better job, per se. Not saying that I'm better than anyone, meaning like my husband would describe it, no one is you. So you would describe the story how you would. There's so many amazing podcasters, content creators that do the same. And those, again, who are listening or watching, thank you very much. It really means the world to me. Please like and subscribe this video and perhaps share with your friends. This case took place from 95 all the way, sadly, to 2021. I'm gonna get there. So we're gonna rewind to 1995, and we're just gonna go rewind a little bit more than that to July 4th, 1980. Nicole Van Den Hurk was born in Germany, and she was sadly born out of wedlock. And I know a lot of us may have been, but this was pretty extreme. She was actually born out of an affair. Right now, I'm just going to sip some green tea with some peach. I think it's peach green tea. It's one of my absolute favorites. And if you're watching, I hope you love the mug. It's green, one of my absolute favorite colors. And my lipstick is on there. Cute. It says Irish and Proud. And if you haven't noticed, I'm very fair-skinned and part Irish. So look at the Irish. So we're not talking about Irish right now. We're actually talking about Germany, and then we're going to be talking about the Netherlands. So when this beautiful angel was born, she was born out of an affair. Yes. The affair was actually with a married man. So Nicole actually really didn't know her father. Her father was not really in her life. Nicole's mother went through depression and had mental problems. They say extreme mental illness, and just couldn't cope with like everyday life sometimes. Nicole and her mother had a strained relationship, but she did try and want to become, close again. I feel like a mother and daughter's relationship is very precious. And if you are blessed to have one, then you are so blessed. Remember that no matter what. Another thing is, after that happened, shortly time later, Nicole's mother married a musician from the Netherlands called Ad Van Dirk. These beautiful names. And Ad fell madly in love with Nicole's mother. And Nicole had a stepbrother named Andy. And they were very close, a very loving family. But sadly, Nicole's mother and mental illness got the best of her. And she went through copes of depression. And sadly, she could no longer handle her children. So the musician Ad actually adopted Nicole. And he treated Nicole as if she was his very own daughter. And they were quite close. It was very sad for Nicole's mother, and she just had issues that she could not help. And if you have anyone struggling from mental illness, that is not something to joke about, and I wish you better help and better health. Ad sadly could not handle Nicole's mother anymore, so he left her. He left her and got married to another woman. Now, before Ad Van Den Hurk, I'm sorry, which is Nicole's last name. Now, so before he got married to her new stepmother, what happened was that she was just, it was just too much for the mother to realize that Ad didn't love her anymore. So the mother had like a mental breakdown and she lost custody of her children, which, when a mother loses custody of their children and gives full custody to the father, to the stepfather, that is very, very rare. I don't know how it is in the Netherlands, but I know in the United States it does not go that way. Not all the time anyway. So it's true in the United States. I mean, it could go either way besides different kind of circumstances. But let's go back to the Netherlands, okay? So Ad is a musician, like I mentioned before, in the Netherlands. And what do musicians do? Play music, go on tour. So with this happening, with Ad being on tour, he couldn't really stay home to raise his children. So Nicole's grandmother helped raise the children, and Nicole and her grandmother were very close. To describe Nicole, she was a beautiful girl, blonde hair, his most beautiful eyes. And when you see pictures of her, just Google the name, she looked like some kind of supermodel. But she was just a 15-year-old girl when this horrific occurrence happened. Well, it's horrible murder, which I'm going to get to that sad part in a moment. Now, Nicole was very responsible. She was very hardworking. Even as a 15-year-old, she had a job. Her job was in a grocery store. Now, I believe when you're 15, I feel like, um, you're a bag lady per se, help with groceries. I mean, it didn't really say what her job was, but she did work in a grocery store. So when she went to work, that was her routine. She would go to school and then go to work. But one day, she did not go to work, and it was highly suspicious. Let's rewind, though, to 6 months before. 6 months before Nicole went missing and Ad remarried, the mother sadly lost her life to her mental illness. She committed suicide in April of 1995. Nicole, it got, oh my gosh, it destroyed Nicole. Nicole was extremely sad, very, very sad. And it was unreal. I can't imagine, you guys. I don't even want to imagine. That is absolutely awful. 6 months later, when Nicole was on her way to work, she did not make it. And the Netherlands is such a low crime population. I was reading back in 1995, the US was like 8%. I mean, 8 out of something, that's pretty high. But the Netherlands were down to like 1.5. I was like, holy moly, no crime happens in the Netherlands in the 90s. Wow. I feel like that's a really amazing thing, but it's also kind of bad thing, because what happened to Nicole, people were not ready. The police were not ready, and they did not complete the investigation. Warning, I'm about to talk about very horrendous things, and if you are sensitive to subject matter of sexual assault, torture, abuse, please turn off this podcast, and I really wish you a wonderful, beautiful day. Nicole's bike was found near her job. There was like some kind of forest, where her job is. There is, I mean, it's wild because everyone's like on bikes in the Netherlands. So when they were looking for Nicole, because automatically she didn't show up for work, the police told Ad she may be a runaway. She's going through a lot. You told me that, with her mother's passing and, the new marriage and her stepmother, it's a lot. But Ad was like, no, my daughter did not run away. She was taken. She was absolutely taken. And please keep looking for her. In mid to late October, though, in 1995, her rucksack was found near Eindhoven's canal. Rucksack. I believe that is a backpack? Handbag? Maybe? Didn't really say what a rucksack is, but since she's a student and on her way to work, she probably had books and school supplies and all that. It was absolutely insane. It was chaos. So many people were looking for Nicole. Like I said, this is something that didn't happen in this small town in the Netherlands. So there were so many just volunteers just trying to find her, especially when they found the bike. They're like, she has to be here somewhere. Sadly, on Wednesday, November 22nd, a passerby found her body in the woods between Mierlo and Lierop. Her funeral was on November 28th and was attended, like I said, so many people were helping finding her. Over 1,000 people were at her funeral. Even though this young girl didn't know many of these people, the whole entire Netherlands was just, I mean, they've never seen any horrific murder like this. when this poor girl, when her body was found, man, it showed, according to the pathologist, that she had 2 fractures to the jaw, injuries to the head and fingers, rib injury, and a horrible stabbing, just horrific. So this 15-year-old girl was taken and like beaten to death, and sadly she was raped. Now, this is where things get muddy, okay? And I don't understand this. I'm not trying to bring bad energy, but back in 1995, they didn't know what they were doing, and they never collected the DNA from the rape kit, because she obviously was sexually assaulted. Time passed. More time passed. You had so many leads. You had like, oh my gosh, they said like, I wrote it down right here, 300 leads that ended up nowhere. I mean, you had one person call up and say, "Hi, I know who murdered Nicole," and then hang up. But back then, they could tell, they recorded it, but it was too short of a phone call to trace. So, but they broadcasted this phone call to see if anyone would turn themselves in or turn someone else they know or they knew, and nobody turned anyone in. Years later, Ad's associate, someone who he knew, told him that the person who made her a drug mule, because she was caught with narcotics, heroin actually, that she knew the killer, and he killed Nicole because she saw a drug, that she saw someone selling drugs, she saw too much, and she was murdered because of it. This lady knew a lot. So Ad was like, okay, let's get to it, let's investigate, let's figure out who this guy is. Finds out though, this lady, man, she kind of made the whole thing up. She basically said something to knock off prison sentence time, which I think is like horrible because Ad trusted this lady. Now, Nicole's family, again, time and time again, kept contacting the police. Keep the case open. We got to figure out who did this. And finally, in 2004, a cold case detective went through the files. And by then, DNA evidence has gotten way much better, and there is actually DNA technology. But they found out another blow to the case. That Nicole never had DNA samples from her body in 1995 because simply they just didn't know what they were doing. I just don't understand that, you guys. How do you... Okay, that's what happened. In 2011, Andy wanted a change of scenery. I mean, who can blame him? You know, his sister's horrible killer is still out there. So in 2011, Andy moves to London and puts on a Facebook post and says, "I'm going to jail today." What? So remember, you guys, I told you about the cold case team, investigating her murder in 2004, but they sadly told the family there was no DNA evidence to test. So the brother is like, okay, we'll exhume her body. Let's do this. But they said it was too bureaucratic, which I feel like that means, like, what's the point? There's not a lot of evidence to the case. So the brother, Andy, God love him, man. Wow, he is a hero. Okay, so confession of the brother. He goes on his Facebook and says something like, "I'm going to jail today. I murdered my sister." Something like that. And that post was shared over 1,000 times. And what do you know? The police arrest him. And they're like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, I killed my sister. So the police have him in, like, they were interrogating him for, first of all, like, he is extradited back to the Netherlands, where he is interrogated for 5 days with this insane, it is very much thunder and lightning. I wish this was a sound effect. Wow. Insane. So with the technology and with the brother's confession, the police had him for 5 days. And then the brother started saying that his stepfather murdered her, because I guess he wanted more clout to get this investigation, which I've seen many people say that maybe Ad was a creep. We really don't know. But what we do know is that he really did love Nicole like a daughter. And it's just wild because they were saying all these things, like they said that she was pregnant and maybe the stepfather Ad had sex with her and had the baby, or got pregnant with the baby and Ad killed her, and the brother Andy was saying these things. And then if that didn't work, he confessed to the killing. So a whole bunch of stuff is being said, but no matter what was being said, it opened the investigation, ladies and gentlemen. It made detectives go and exhume this body from 1995, and there was still DNA evidence inside the body. Yeah, sadly, there were 3 specimens of sperm, like 3 different kind of sperm types inside poor little Nicole. One of the specimens, one of the DNA, was Nicole's boyfriend at the time, who, of course, you cannot find out who he is because he was a minor at the time. Remember, she's 15, he's probably 15. Plus, he had a solid alibi. And in the beginning, I forgot to tell you, forgive me guys, when there is a murder with family, the prime suspects are usually the father, the mother, the brother, and they were interrogated, but all of them had alibis, airtight alibis. But man, Andy had to convince them that he did kill, and then the father had something to do with it. And sadly, with that horrific, sad clout that he said out loud to the public, Ad and Andy had a strained relationship. Okay, so the DNA is found, and sadly there's 3 types of DNA. One is inconclusive. The other one, though, is this guy who was 27 years old at the time, was like this punk, okay? He actually already was in prison before for violating a woman. His name was Joust G. And this guy, wow, you do not want to get in the wrong side with this guy. He also pretty much, they said he was mentally, criminally insane. Sadly, in 1995, when Nicole was on her way to work on a bike, Joust G had a fight with his girlfriend, and he was so mad that he went walking to cool off. I don't know if she rejected him sexually or what the argument was about, but he was angry. And sadly, when he saw that little girl on the bike and there was no one around, she was the perfect opportunity. Sadly, it was just about wrong timing. This trial goes on forever, you guys. Even the defense, when they put Josh G on the stand, Josh G was saying the sex was consensual and it's fine, she wanted it. Which Ad was there, Andy was there, and they were like, you are not the type of guy that my daughter or my sister would go for. When you Google this guy, he looks kind of insane. Just not trying to judge from appearance. I apologize. I'm not. If you're into that, cool, do you. But this guy had an intense criminal record. And what I found out in my research, the Netherlands really believe in rehabilitation. He was charged with rape before, and he only got, I think, 3 to 4 years in prison. Yeah. Netherlands truly believe of rehabilitation. My personal stance on it, you can rehabilitate a drug person per se, maybe a self-defense death. I don't know, but I just don't think if you are a rapist and a homicidal killer, that there is any rehabilitation for you. I feel like you're extremely mentally ill and you should be put away so you don't hurt other people. But I digress. We're talking about Nicole. So they do another court case because they're listening to him and they're like, well, it's been a long time. Maybe the DNA, maybe it was consensual. Well, guess what? He said, test the DNA again. And you know what, guys? They did. They brought the DNA evidence to New Zealand, where they have this amazing technological advances in forensics. Unreal. And yes, when I said Josh G has been convicted of rape before, not one, guys, not 2 times, but 3 times he was convicted of rape. So this guy is not a good dude at all. Josh G got his wish, though, for human rights for some friggin' reason. So they retested the evidence and saw again that it was Josh G's sperm that was inside of Nicole. And the other DNA was the boyfriend. And then the third one is inconclusive. A mental patient that knew Josh G said she knew about the murder. She said that Nicole went to go over to have sex with Josh G, but then, this is speculation, you guys. I have to talk about it because this is so unbelievable, and I'm also telling all women or anyone, do not invoke people. Do not make fun of people's body parts. If you're uncomfortable, just smile and just like, hey, you know what? Look at the time, but that is amazing. And just like leave, you know? Okay, so according to this witness, she said, first witness account, that when Nicole and Jost were together, that he pulled his pants down and Nicole pointed and laughed and said his penis was too small. Jost was so mad and angry that he raped her and beat her to death. Again, it's unbelievable. It is really sad. And do I believe it? No, the girl was on her way to work. She was a good girl. Okay, she has been through a lot. And she wanted to make her life right. And she really did want to have a relationship with her mother that is continually talked about. She was going to have a relationship with her mother. Sadly, her mother, took her own life, as I said. Well, the courts must have believed the eyewitness because Josh G was sentenced to 12 years in prison. And for manslaughter, and for also being like criminally insane. So case solved. It's over, right? It's absolutely over. Sadly though, in 2021, Andy could not deal with the reality of what happened to her. And also, I'm sure, the strained relationship with his father. He did one last Facebook post. Something like, goodbye, the pills will do the rest. Something like that. And he took his own life. The police found him, and he took his own life with pills and alcohol. Very, very sad story for the Van Den Hurk family. First of all, I just want to say, Andy, you are an incredible brother who would just not stop at finding his sister's killer. I mean, I know people are going to be like, oh, it's his stepsister. I'm like, no, that's his sister. It doesn't matter, okay? I'm trying not to get choked up. But it was just a really sad case because Andy was a really good guy, sadly, that let his demons take him. And another amazing advancement with forensic technology. Absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. And Andy, without him, his sister's murder would have never been solved. And of course, with the advancements of technology and the hard work of cold case detectives and investigators, I really wish peace for the loved ones of the Van Den Hurk family. Thank you very much for watching, you guys. And remember, you're doing better than you think. Take care. See you later. Bye.